On today's podcast, I got to speak with Amber and Garrette Baird. They are a couple of wonderful videographers that are based in Indiana, husband and wife team. They've been doing it for over 15 years, way back when videos were actually on tape and they weren't digital. We spoke about a number of things, right down to the Sony Artisan program and how Amber is linked with the bealpha program. They just did a event in Chicago that we spoke about, and they are actually judging an event at WPPI at the end of February. So I would love for you to check out their website, check out their social media links, and hopefully you enjoy this podcast.
Wisconsin.
I am, yeah.
Garrett grew up in Ashland.
Ashland.
Yeah.
Cool.
Way north, yeah.
Yeah.
I live in Wausau, Wisconsin.
Okay.
If you know where that is.
Yeah, I've been there.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
couldn't get there from here, but I've been there.
It's probably 90 miles north of Milwaukee. Maybe more.
Okay.
Maybe more. Actually, no, I take that back. 120, 150, something like that, north of Milwaukee. I'm actually from Milwaukee. I was born and raised in Milwaukee. My family is from the Wausau area, like a smaller town, like more east of Wausau. The town's called Antigo. Very crazy. And if you're a fan of everyone... It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Charlie had an Antigo wrestling T-shirt on. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Claim to fame, I guess. Small.
That is cool.
Small one. But yeah, my family decided to just pack up and move from Milwaukee up north because my dad was raised up here, and I kind of stuck around, moved back down towards the Milwaukee area through my 20s, and I got 2 kids, and we want to be closer to family, so we moved up here. And my wife works for one of the local hospitals, and I work for a big drug company called Henry Schein. It's animal health stuff.
Oh,
so
cool.
I do support for their software. That's my main job, and I also do obviously film weddings on the side. And I started that way back in the late 90s, and kind of let that die off for a little bit when I was in my 20s. Did weird jobs and worked at Walmart, and but I went to school for television production too. So yeah, that's my background. So
there's a couple Sony artisans that live in that area.
Yeah.
cool.
So Paul Giroux, he just moved to Lake Mills, which is, I think, further south than you are.
Mm-hmm.
He's from that area, and then he lived in, he was living in LA and moved back to Wisconsin, because of family and stuff.
Yeah.
But we get up to Wisconsin usually every other year for Oshkosh.
Oh, yes, the EAA. Yeah, I saw you guys do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I got my A9. And the first free weekend I had it, I went to Oshkosh.
Awesome.
And shot 3,000 pictures a day for 3 days in a row.
Yeah, man.
That sucker is 20 frames a second. It was like, wow.
I lived in Oshkosh for a number of years. That's where my company's based, so that's where I lived. And during EAA, it's crazy there because it's like Rockfest, Country USA, then EAA. Like all of July is just nuts in Oshkosh because of all those events. And
yeah, we normally have to stay like about an hour drive from Oshkosh, like on the other side of the lake.
Well, because we don't plan far enough in advance, but a lot of people, they just book their hotel a year in advance if because they know they go every year.
Yeah.
And we just never know when it's going to fall with weddings and stuff, which July usually isn't huge for weddings here in the, because it's so hot.
So hot. Yeah. I know.
Yeah. And humid. It's ugly. So we didn't go last year, so we'll probably try to go this year, but. And I love the Oshkosh community, like the EAA community. The crowd there is so, I don't know. They're just like really cool people, really respectful.
It's the Midwest. We're all nice.
Sure.
You guys are from Indiana, right?
Yes.
Whereabouts in Indiana?
We live in southern Indiana, so we're about an hour. We live right on the Illinois border, about an hour away from the Kentucky border. So we're like southwestern.
Okay.
So like literally, if we just drive straight north, we'll hit Chicago pretty much.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I have an aunt that lives in Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've spent some time in Louisville. Went to the the Louisville Slugger Museum, and that's really awesome.
Yeah, because that's like. I would say it's about 2 hours from our house to get there.
Cool.
So, but because it's like on the other side, so we have to drive like a little bit south and then totally east. But Louisville is a really cool place.
You say it correctly too.
Some of our friends just moved there, but I didn't say it correctly for a long time.
Louisville.
Louisville.
Well, see, my grandparents used to live in Louisville, Illinois.
Oh wow,
it's really confusing.
Confusing, yes.
Yeah. What's your guys' background? Did you go to school for photography, video?
So has the show started?
Yeah, we're just kind of. I usually do
cool.
like a hard intro, but
Sure.
we just kind of hitting it off here, so we might as well just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to know the origin story of
What's your origin? Like your Han Solo story. Tell me that.
Yes, the origin story. Go ahead, Garrett. It starts with you.
Yeah, well, I've always had an affinity for video, and I think let's get real in depth here. I think that comes from when I grew up. I grew up in a very strict Christian home where, I mean, so strict that television and movies and video was not allowed. It was illegal. Let's say. So I guess I had just a fascination with something I wasn't supposed to gravitate towards, and so over time that changed a little bit in our family, and I was able to get a camcorder, and then from there I just.
What was the first camcorder you had?
I think it was a Sharp.
The VHS are we talking about, or
I haven't. No, it wasn't VHS. It was the what is it?
High
8 millimeter.
8 millimeter. Nice.
Yeah, it's like a small plastic tape.
Yep. I had a Sony. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like it almost looked like a cassette tape, right?
Yeah. It wasn't the mini DV. It was the one that was bigger than that. Yep. But the reason why I got the Sharp is because up to that point, camcorders basically had a viewfinder. Like that's all there was to see there was no screen on the back.
Yeah.
And this was the first one that had a screen on the back. So my father allowed me to get that because it had a screen on the back, and we didn't have to have a TV to go with it. You could just what other videos you shot, you could watch on the back of the camcorder.
You gamed the system then.
Nice.
Yeah, totally. And then I also bought a VCR and plugged into that, so I had a teeny tiny TV, so I could sneak movies in the house and watch movies.
Too funny. So then, as we were growing up, like our youth group would go to like Kings Island, or we did groups or trips like that during the summer, and Garrett would be the one that would film everybody having fun.
Wow!
And then put little videos together. And
so is that how you guys met? Really?
Yeah, that's how we met. We met at the same church, and then
cool. We used to go to church together. Now we go to tattoo shops together.
Oh, that's kind of true.
It's very true.
But it was funny because like Garrett started when he started editing these, it was linear editing. Using
tape to tape. Oh yeah.
Yes, tape to tape, multiple tape decks, and things like that. Which is really, I mean, I couldn't imagine that.
Did you ever get into A/B roll editing?
I don't know what that is.
It's 2 tape decks, and then the third is the master deck, and you use a switcher, and you like fade between it, and it's crazy.
I did that, but without a switcher. So I got some VCRs together, some used ones, and I had the master, and then I would play one VCR, probably the smaller 8 millimeter, and then press record at the same time, and then I had it timed out to the music to each second, and then I would, when it got to that particular part, I would press pause on both of them, and then switch the tape out and press record and play, and so it would cut to a different. It was a mess. Yeah, I did the A/B, but without the switcher, so my life was hell.
Right.
Nice.
So then.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
So then after that, I mean, as you get older, your friend group starts getting married, and we did a few. You did a few weddings before that for people in the church, and then we got married almost 15 years ago.
Oh wow!
And we shot our. Yeah, we're old.
I've been married for 10, going on 11.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. So 2 weeks after our wedding, we filmed our first wedding together.
Oh, cool.
And then
which happened to be my ex-girlfriend's wedding.
Oh, that was Megan's wedding.
Oh, was it Megan's? Okay.
We did Sarah's wedding the following year.
Yeah.
So his ex-girlfriend's was the following year.
Nice.
But still,
A little awkward, or was it cool?
It wasn't until they played the song.
Oh no.
They played a song. Was it the end or was
recessional?
it the recessional song? It was a country song, and it was "I Owe It All to My Girl's Ex-Boyfriend."
Yeah,
and I was there. I'm like, dude, I'm kind of impressed actually. Like I knew, like we haven't been like. We're all friends, but it was just like it was quite hilarious.
It was funny.
I had to give him props for that.
So that was 14, 15 years ago, and then we just I think the big year that we really pushed the business then was 2008. So that was 2004 when we got married, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then we did a few
6x4.
We did, yeah.
Oh,
So we did a
nice.
few weddings those first couple years, but then in 2008 we decided to really push the business.
Start doing bridal shows. We were scared to death because we didn't think we were good enough. And we went to a couple of bridal shows in this local area, and we were like, "Oh my goodness, we need to do this right now." Because we started early before the DSLR revolution. Everybody still had big, we were using big camcorders, and then little camcorders as our B cams. But we went to the bridal shows, and their claim to fame was that they do a picture in picture. So as the bride's coming down the aisle, in the bottom of the corner, you would have the groom's reaction on a little like sports picture in picture, and I was like,
that guy still works.
He does. He's great. But it was like, I think we can do this. And so we've always had the mentality of, we do the slow motion and sappy stuff sometimes, but for the most part, we want to do fun and energetic videos. And our first business card tagline was Eyenamics, rocking your romance. So awesome. That was kind of our claim to fame in the area. I mean, we kind of built our brand on that, and the
high energy.
The high energy. So we were quite different from what was available at the time.
Yeah. And so then, that was a good time for as far as financially, that was when the recession hit, but we were just building our business. And not only that, but everyone still had weddings. Nobody's paused their weddings because of a recession. Yeah. So it was a big year. Even 2008.
And we still had full-time jobs, so it wasn't like
we did have full-time jobs then at that point.
That struggle is real. I know that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, that was really hard and difficult. Garrett went full-time first.
What did you do before? What did you guys do?
Very glamorous. I worked on asphalt seal coating.
Awesome.
So laying asphalt and tearing it up and laying down stinky chemicals, and then in the part-time world, I would do videos, and that was my passion. And I went to college to be. I was studying. Down the wrong path, obviously, but I was studying to be a draftsman, an architectural draftsman.
Oh, nice.
Because I always loved to draw like cartoons and comics. And when I went to my advisor, she's like, "Oh, you like to draw? Well, you'll love being a draftsman." It's like, wait, no,
not that kind of draft.
But there was,
like,
I was told there was money in it, and I didn't last. Like, I didn't make it to the second semester because it was not what I wanted to do at all. And if I would have known, I did video like many, many years before I actually started making money with it. And I wish I would have had somebody say, "Look, you have a passion for this. If you like it, you can make money with this." But nobody told me that, and I didn't think I was good enough to make any money with it. So if anybody's out there like wondering, "Hey, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't want to risk it," it's like, if you like it, you're going to live a much happier life, even if you're not making as much money at first. You're going to be much happier doing what you love. Just on a side note, I have a best friend who was making quite a bit of money working in the trash industry.
Waste management.
Waste management. He was making good money.
He worked for that company, Waste Management.
No, it was a local,
an actual trash.
A trash.
Yeah.
We have a company called Waste Management in my area.
Okay.
Okay. No,
his dream. Sorry, Amber. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. But his dream, he'd always wanted to be a police officer, and he studied to be a cop for many years, and he went to college for it and studied criminal law, but he never could get on around the area, or because people weren't hiring, or whatever. So
they wanted experience
they
too.
wanted experience,
Yeah.
and he had nothing other than no experience in the trash industry or whatever. So he went to he joined the Army, but he was honorably discharged because he messed his back up while he was in basic training. So that was a blow. And then he came back and started doing the trash thing again. And then here, just a few weeks ago, or months now, I guess, he got hired on at the Terre Haute Police Department, and it's his dream. And he took a big pay cut going from that trash company to the government paycheck he gets. But he's happy, and I think that's worth so much to be happy doing what you do, because you can make a lot of money and not be happy, and it's just not worth it. So yeah, I would recommend, like, if you think about, you want to do video for a living or photography or anything like that, you just figure out how to make money with it and start small and build it up and go for it. You'll be a much happier camper.
Yeah, because if I would have, my original career path, I was going to be a pharmacist of all things, and we would definitely be making. I would definitely be making a lot more money, but
our benefits were a lot better at the time.
Well, so I worked at Walgreens in the pharmacy for years, 6 or 7 years. I've been full time for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but with our business, but I would be a better retail pharmacist, even though they make great money. It is a great career. I just know that it wasn't something that I would be happy with either. So,
well, and we're both artists, and if you're an artist, you need something that fulfills your creative soul. And even sometimes in weddings, I have to push myself, because to anybody that's done any number of weddings, the first dozen you do, you're just fulfilling yourself with creative ideas and creative shots. And then, like us, you get to wedding number 600, and to be honest, you get a little jaded and a little bored, because there's only so much you're able to do, and so you really have to push yourself to fulfill that creative soul, and it's difficult sometimes.
But I do feel like pushing yourself in that manner actually makes a better video for your client.
Absolutely.
Like being bored is actually making our videos better. And then Garrett has he's taken up photography as his art form.
I've
now,
noticed that. Yeah, that's great. A lot of the stuff you've been posting, I like to see the behind the scenes shot, like of that one you did of Darth Maul. I saw the final one. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That must be like some sort of GIF or something. And then you showed all your lighting on it, and then I'm still not sure how you did the flames that came up, but that was still pretty cool. Like I like that. But great advice you guys are giving about the find your passion. I love that. I lost my train of thought. I hate that. Happens when you get old.
You're preaching to the choir over here. Garrett has about 16 trains.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, now I got it back. So you said that you're getting bored, kind of get bored, and you need to push yourselves with weddings. I find myself scaling back on the gear that I bring to a wedding. So testing myself, can I just do it with 2 lenses? Can I do it with 1 lens? Can I do it with my GH5? Because I just purchased a GH5. I know you guys are Sony people, but I shoot mostly Canon C100, and then I got a GH5 for my gimbal work. And I like the gimbal, but I'm a big guy, and using a gimbal all day, I get really sweaty. And,
it kills my back.
Oh man! Oh, and your back.
Even the small gimbals. Yeah, for the gimbal, a friend of mine, his name just slipped my mind. Joe Schweitzer, I'm sure everybody's familiar with him. We shot a couple weddings with him, and he uses the gimbal like all day long.
Oh, yeah.
He's a little guy, and even he's gets tired at the end of the day. But I usually on the gimbal try to limit it, so I have it like maybe 3 times a day that I use it, and I don't use it for a very long time. So and plus, if every shot in your wedding film is a moving shot and a gimbal shot, it somehow loses something, because
it uses the loses the specialty.
Yeah, or just like every shot is a drone, that just kind of.
It loses the specialty. So anything that's specialty, even lenses, anything that you overuse too much. I remember whenever we first got, back in the day when Garrett first got like a fisheye lens, it was a 10 millimeter fisheye, and basically one whole wedding was shot with it. It was
that was
horrible.
A mistake.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
You know, we've honestly, let me just show you, let me just tell you this. We have made all the mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
We've learned everything the hard way. And so that's why we love doing podcasts and things like that, because I wish that these type of things would have existed when we first started.
Yes.
Because 15 years ago, there was no YouTube, or like it is today. There was no podcasts.
Well, and all the professionals, they held their cards close to their chest. They wouldn't want to share. That was just the mentality of the time. Nobody wanted to share how they did things. And even now, when we go to these conferences and teach, and we have these classes, I'm telling my dad about it. He's like, "Well, you don't tell them all your tricks and secrets." I'm like, "Yeah, I tell them everything." He's like, "Well, aren't you afraid they're going to steal your work?" I'm like, "There's enough work for everybody." It's like, just because a surgeon can tell me how he does, not that I'm comparing myself to a surgeon, but let's just say, just because a plumber can tell me how to plumb my sink doesn't mean I'm going to be able to do it. So without some practice, but yeah, it's just like there's so much openness now, and people are sharing the tricks they do, and it's a really nice community nowadays.
Yeah. So
that's why I'm
ahead.
really super excited to have you guys on and talk to me. I was really surprised that you even said yes. And I've learned so much by watching your YouTube channel, the gear, glasses, and gadgets, and following you both on Instagram. And it was more YouTube at first, and then I kind of figured out Instagram. Like us older people, we don't understand social media that well. And I kind of figured out Instagram, and I'm like, oh, these stories are kind of cool because you give little bits and pieces, and little like you were doing a job somewhere, and you were shooting with that small little the Sony camera,
RX0, little cube.
Yeah, and you were doing your little stories. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you showed a couple slider stuff on your stories, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. I mean, it's not super in depth, but you're giving like little pieces that make at least made me want to research more and look at it. But I've been watching your stuff for years, on YouTube, and I actually saw. I think I even messaged you about this too. I saw you on the screensavers, and you did the intro to the screensavers. I was so jealous, man. I've been watching that show on Tech TV for years.
Yeah.
Leo Laporte and Patrick, when they did the original screensavers, I would watch that all night long when they would do like the marathons. And then you posted something, and then I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to watch that. And I think I took a picture of it and messaged you when I was laying in bed or something. Yeah,
that's funny.
It was crazy because when we first started dating, Garrett made me watch the screensavers with him, and so I mean, literally, we've been watching them for probably. I've been watching them for like 18 years.
Well, I'm a huge nerd, so we went there, and it was like meeting the president or something. It was really weird.
Or better.
But just a side story. While we were sitting there, we just happened to be on one of the episodes where Scott Bourne was doing some stuff about photography, and I don't know if you know Scott Bourne.
I'm not familiar.
Is he a Lumix shooter?
No, he's an Olympus shooter, but he shoots
some of the most amazing bird photography.
Oh, okay.
He's known for eagles, but I mean, you need to look him up. He does some stuff that I've never seen before, with birds. It's so good. Anyways, he was there talking, and I kind of know him from just being around some of the conferences and such. But I brought as a gift, I had a little Sony A7R II at the time, I think it was, USB drive. So it was like a little USB drive, but it looked like a little Sony body. And I gave that to Leo, and he mentioned us in the podcast, and he was talking to us a little bit later. He's like, "Now, are you and Amber? Are you guys Sony artisans?" And I was like, "Oh no, we haven't had that privilege." And so now that Sony has bestowed that on us, and we are artisans, I wanted to go back and say, "Hey, we're artisans," and I want to go back on the show again. But they canceled it. They canceled the screensavers.
They did the second one. I thought it was always on his network.
They just canceled it like within the last few weeks. Yeah, I haven't seen it on there, and I saw somebody put a post on there that they had canceled it. But I wanted to go back and be like, hey, guess what? We're here now. But I think they started another show that's kind of similar, just called something different. So.
He and Father. Oh man, I can't remember the guy's name.
Oh, Robert.
Father Robert. Yeah, they do a cool tech show, and Man, he's got so many shows. Like I subscribe to like Radio Leo on the podcast app, and
Oh yeah.
it's a great podcast to listen to when my kids are in the car because he's super clean and it's not like the Joe Rogan Experience or anything like that.
Right.
I just love listening to him talk. Like he'll take those calls. He actually does the terrestrial radio too, and sometimes he'll talk people through on how to fix their computers, and it's like super boring but fun.
Yeah, we've listened to that. Garrett would put those on road trips, and
Yes.
And then Leo's sultry tones would put Amber to sleep.
yeah, I would go to sleep immediately. The call with like the radio show one.
Yeah, the call for help. Yeah.
Yes,
it
that's
was
the
similar
one.
to that.
The computer guy or whatever.
Yeah, the
And-
tech guy,
right,
Leo
yeah.
Laporte, the tech guy.
And I apologize to everybody listening that has no idea what we're talking about. we went down a rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
So, I did want to get back to talking about like minimizing your kit, because that's
Yes.
something that we went on a journey, because Garrett is a gadget gear tech head.
Oh, so am I, and I have
we
tons
had-
of tech. Yeah, tons of gear. Yep.
We had so much stuff. The last wedding we shot with all of our stuff, we had probably, I think we had 2 Pelican cases. We had a Ronin, the big Ronin.
We had 3 Pelican cases.
3 Pelican cases.
Because one of them had a drone in it.
Oh, that we had the Inspire, which was, is a huge drone, and then we had a 4-wheel cart, and we had the Ronin, the big Ronin, and so
The
we were
the 2-handle one. The
the
Ronin M or
2-handle
whatever.
big,
Yeah, I had one of those. I had to get rid of it. It was too hard on my back.
It's it was
exactly.
too hard.
It
The
works
last,
great, but
Yeah.
God,
I mean,
it's
the
heavy.
last wedding, it sat in the corner and didn't get used
Yeah.
because it was too
Amber's
heavy.
like, why aren't you using that? I was like, I don't want to.
Because I want to be able to walk tomorrow.
Yeah, pretty much. So then we get to this venue. It's in downtown Indianapolis called the Columbia Club. Real fancy, like you have to have a lot of money to be a member. And they took one look at our gear and said, no, you need to use this service elevator. And that's whenever we really just were like, oh, crap. We need to make a change. And we were all, I think at that time we were using Sony's. So there was no reason for us to have such a large kit. But
Yeah.
the problem was Garrett was getting, so we had all this stuff. We had all the things. We had everything you could think of. And one of the problems was that Garrett would get, option paralysis. So, you look in your kit and you're like, oh my God, I have so many different things. What am I going to use for this part of the day? And this, I could use this and this and this. And sometimes I just have to tell him, get this, because he has ADD.
Because I wasn't a new shooter by no means.
No, this is just a few years ago. And so he has ADD. So it's really, sometimes it's hard for him to make decisions like that quickly.
And let's just clarify something. We're not using that term ADD lightly.
No.
You're
I'm on
actually
medication
diagnosed
for it.
with it.
I go to therapy for it. It's a life changing. I just discovered it as an adult, and looking back and going to therapy, I've had it all my life. I digress. I just wanted you to know we're not using that term lightly.
Right.
Like
Of course.
I literally have, like, if I had all my lenses, Amber just mentioned option paralysis. When something beautiful was happening, let's say a granddaughter or great granddaughter was spending time with grandma, and they were hugging and kissing, and the granny's really old, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna get it with this lens. No, wait, no, I'll get it with this lens. No, maybe I'll put it on a slider. Nope. Well, let's see if I can do it a gimbal, and then it's over. Everything's
over.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like Amber was saying, limiting my options and knowing what lens for what part of the day really helps me.
Right. So we were.
My issue is I'm shooting it wide, and I think as I'm shooting it wide, I should shoot it tight. And if I'm shooting it tight,
yeah.
I should shoot it wide. So
Yeah.
I totally sympathize with you on that. So I'm also trying to limit my options as well, because it, like Amber said way back, it makes it feel better, it makes your film a lot better when you are being creative with what you have instead of having so many options.
Right. So what the good thing about us being a couple and we've shot 600 weddings together is that I'm always tight and he's always wide.
Yes.
So we don't have to worry
Medium
about
or
that
wide,
too
yeah.
much. Yeah, medium or wide. And then we have our defined roles, and then we use Garrett's ADD as a tool, because it can be very it's a hard thing to control. So we use it as a tool, and he does all the motion shots, because those are interesting to him. He's not generally one that can do a lockdown shot, so we just use that to our advantage. But we became very, very selective about what goes in our kit with us on a wedding day. And even commercial shoots as well. So we were able to pare everything down, and we have one bag that we bring. It's the Think Tank Airport Security version 2, and it fits everything we need in it. And then we have a canvas bag with our tripods and monopods and stuff like that. We have a what's in our bag on our YouTube channel.
Yep, I think I've watched that actually.
Yeah, it's kind of long, but we go through everything
a little bit. Now I need to do another one. But
it changes a lot.
I hate to use this term. It gets really overused, especially when we talk about gear. But it's like this, somebody will say this particular piece of gear is a game changer. This changes the game. I feel that paring down my kit so that I'm very nimble and quick, that was the game changer to me.
That is the game
because changer. I can let's say Amber and I are on a corporate shoot, and one part of the facility, Amber's doing an interview or something, and somebody comes in and says, hey, we're doing a such and such and over here on this side of the campus. Can we have somebody come shoot that? Because it's like a organic thing that's happening. It's not a setup thing that's happening. And so one person, whether it be Amber or me, can grab all of our kit except whatever she's using, and run across the campus to a different location, or even like at a wedding. If Amber's out doing the creative session and I want to go set up for the reception, I can grab everything. Our lights. I mean, we bring we have 10-foot light stands. We have monopods, tripods, 3 tripods, 2 monopods. So we have a lot, but it all fits on cases that one person can just roll around with, and that's been huge, because I used to feel that I'm not a professional unless I come in with like 4 or 5 Pelican cases.
I was just going to say that. Say that.
It is a good feeling because people look at you like, they honestly do. They like, oh, that guy looks like he knows what he's doing, especially when you pull out the Inspire. When I used to fly that, everybody has seen a DJI white, the stereo, the fan. Everybody's seen that. But when you pull out the Inspire, especially the guys in the wedding, they're like, whoa, look at that. And then when you fly it and it transforms and you're like, whoa, everybody's like, whoa. And that's a great feeling. But on the same side, I shot almost all last year with the DJI.
Was it the Mavic Air?
The Mavic Air.
Yeah, I have the Mavic Air. I love that thing.
Dude, that thing, because I can go out to the creative session. Like, it's usually, if you're in the Midwest, we go out to a cornfield or some barn somewhere. And so I can literally put that in my pocket and
still bring a gimbal.
Yeah, you can get that up in the air in like 2 minutes easily.
Right.
Now throw your phone on there and it's done.
I did sell that when the new 1-inch censored Mavic 2 came out.
But those are still super small.
But they're still super small. They're just it fits in my bag like a lens would. It just slides right in.
Yeah. Right. So one thing that it's really cut down on our stress level too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Because here in the Midwest, we generally have multiple locations we're going. So we start at maybe Bride Pep, we go to, First Looks area, then we go to, and these are different locations, and then we go to the church, and then the reception's at a totally different area. So it's cut down a lot on our stress level, and that I think allows us to be able to create more freely too. So we are very passionate about this, and we give talks about this all the time, like paring your stuff down, because it is so easy. That's the fun stuff,
Yeah.
We like to call those the sexy purchases, the new camera, the new lens.
Lenses,
those are the sexy purchases.
That's so great, yeah.
Yeah, so we just...
And to those of you who live and work in large metropolitan areas, like when we go to work in Chicago or Indianapolis, places like that, where your car is not accessible.
Yeah.
So like in the Midwest, we can pull up in front of the church and park and we're done. And we go to the reception, we go pull up in front and we park and we're done. We can access our car. But some of these bigger cities, you have to be in a parking garage, or a lot of the times we have to, there's no other option. You have to have your car
like valet.
Yeah. So you don't have access. So if you had all these boxes, one year we worked in Chicago and I still had all the boxes with me. And that was the case. And we had to follow the bride and groom around Chicago. We went to Wrigley field and went some
It was a
different
disaster,
places.
though.
And it's just me and Amber struggling with all these boxes, and it really made our life hard.
We should have had an assistant that day.
Yeah, we should have.
Like looking back, there's some shoots were like, man, why didn't we have an assistant? But it just it flows so much easier with the two of us, and we don't have to tell people what to do. Like we already know what to do. So
I find myself working with my crew. I try to shoot with at least 2, sometimes up to 4 people, and we split up. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to scale it back so it's just me. I would like to do it, but I don't have that confidence in myself to just.
It's a lot for one person.
Yeah, to just do it all myself, and then
props to everybody out there who does it by themselves. Yes, definitely, you're awesome. That's crazy.
That is great, and I find myself directing most of the day, telling them what to get, what shots to get, and that can be stressful on my end. And then when I get back to the edit, because I know all my footage in my camera, my A camera, I find myself going to my footage more than my second shooters because I just know it all. So I treat my footage as the only camera for the day and then sprinkle in their footage. And some of my second shooters give me a hard time. They're like, why are we even here when you don't even use our footage? And I'm like, that's mainly on me. I know you guys got great shots. It's just I'm in the moment of the edit and I know all my footage.
Yeah. So that's when we do same day edits, I pretty much rely on just my own camera for the most part, and unless I'm editing and can't be there, because you just know your footage. Now, one thing I'd like to introduce into our shooting team on some of the bigger weddings is somebody to shoot the meat and potatoes of the stuff.
Yes.
So I can concentrate more on the creative, artsy, fartsy stuff.
I think Craig Adams said it best when on one of his videos, he said, I shoot what I want, you shoot what I need. Something like that.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I shoot more meat and potatoes stuff, let's say. Like, that's a very Midwest term. But I do shoot that more, and Garrett does shoot the creative stuff more, but he wants to be even more creative this coming year. So.
Right. But on the same, you're talking about Craig, on the same hand of shooting what you want, shooting what you need. He shot a couple weddings with us, and
nice.
one was in Vegas, and he was kind of there to be the meat and potatoes guy. But towards the at the reception, he was pretty much done with all the stuff that he was going to do, and he started just shooting what he wanted for our wedding, or not our wedding, but the wedding we were working together.
Yeah.
And he got some really great stuff that I wouldn't have thought to have gotten. So I think having a second shooter introduced into the team helps with just giving you a different perspective, because he got some shots that I wouldn't have thought to got, and I'm so grateful that he got those for us, because it was really, really good and really helped make our video better.
Yeah, I shoot with lifetime friends. They've been my buddies since high school, and I really rely on them for being, counting on them for showing up to more than their creativity, but they are great creative shots, and it's just my laziness when I get into the edit of not looking at all their footage that I have to work on, and I'm going to be working on it this season, definitely. Are you guys scaling back the amount of weddings that you do? How many do you do per year?
So in the past, I mean, we've done
our biggest year was almost 50.
Yeah. So,
oh wow.
That was, so we've
and you guys are still married. Props.
It's touch and go.
Yeah.
But no, we talked about this at our latest Sony talk at Imaging, that you need to decide what you want to do. We have some very, very good friends that are successful doing both the high volume and also the boutique style. So Jordan Bunch, I'm sure everybody knows about him. He has both, and he has a brand that is a high volume brand, and he makes people who can do that and make really good money. But with that, like Amber said earlier, you have to have more than just me and Amber doing that. We'd have to have another team doing that.
Yeah.
Amber and I have really decided that we love teaching. We love going out to these conferences and sharing. After you've done this for 15 years and you've done 600 plus weddings, and you've learned a lot of mistakes along the way, we have a lot to teach people. At one point I told Amber, when do we know that it's time to go teach? Like, I don't want to be the person like, oh, I know it all, I'm going to teach everybody because I'm so good. I don't feel I don't feel that. I feel that we have made all the mistakes. And I want to help people with, what mistakes to avoid and how to build a better wedding film based on our 15 years of doing this.
Right. So like last year, let's say 2018, we did about 20 weddings. And that was not bad. And this year our goal is 10.
Cool.
So yeah, which
Less is more. Yep.
Yeah, and we do have a few commercial clients as well. One that keeps us pretty busy, so that's good. And then the teaching schedule as well. So,
and we're looking for couples who want not just a document of their day, documentary style. We're looking for those couples who appreciate the art behind it and are willing to do some things that maybe a normal, Midwestern bride and groom wouldn't be so comfortable doing. Like the last one, I can't wait to edit it, but it poured down rain. It was record rainfall.
7 inches.
7 inches
on
that
our
day.
wedding day.
And
when was that?
It was in I don't remember. It was after a hurricane came through and we were getting the blowback of the the weather.
September-ish, I think. Yeah.
But they went ahead and had the wedding outside, so everybody had umbrellas. It was wet, and then after the day was over, they had a really early day, and then they were going to have a late party for just friends and family.
Cool.
And so before they got out of their tuxes and dress, I asked them, "Hey, I got this crazy idea. Would you want to do this for me?" And I had them stand outside in the rain, just pouring down rain, just getting soaked. And so I got some good shots of that. I did a little bit of some green screen work with them. So I want to do more stuff like that and less just.
But she's a photographer.
Yes,
she's done video before, so it's like she understood. She appreciated the art behind it, and she appreciated the videos on our website. So she was in it. Like anything we asked her to do, she was in it. It was really cool.
And I'm sure everybody's heard of the website and the Instagram account Offbeat Bride.
I have not. No.
If you have it, check it out. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's just brides and grooms that are just offbeat. They're just not your normal white dress and black tux, and they're everything from Harry Potter themed wedding to Star Wars wedding to steampunk, just anything you can think of.
So if anyone has one of those weddings, just send them our way.
I actually have a Star Wars wedding this year.
Nice.
You need a second and third.
Oh man, I'd love to.
I'll bring my own lightsaber. I swear.
I'd love to shoot a wedding with you guys, but it's a photography photo wedding. I do both photography and video.
Cool.
But I obviously can't do them at the same time. And that kind of leads me to my next question, because I know Garrett's been getting into photography a lot. Do you think of offering both at the same time? Just like, maybe having a second running video while Garrett does photography?
The only wedding photography I would be interested in is because I see what, if photographers out there, if you shoot weddings, I feel your pain. I see what you go through. I see lists, the mom or this aunt has a list of printed out pictures from the internet.
Yeah.
She's like, let's do this. Oh God, I couldn't do that. I think the only type of wedding photography I would do is I wouldn't want to work with the posing, like the family.
You like the more journalistic kind of thing?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Creative session,
really.
And the photojournalism. Like
So
I wouldn't want to even touch like the
family portraits.
I would have to hire somebody in for that.
So maybe you should do just like elopements where it's just a couple.
Yeah. I think I can do that, but I never would want to shoot a.
Or honestly, what's worse is when they don't have a list, like a family list.
Yes.
And then it's like, we want to go ahead and get this one. No, let's get this one. Now let's get this one. It's like, this is never ending.
I've had a bunch like that, and it's difficult. And then you get the whole time I'm doing it, I'm going, man, I hope I'm getting everybody, because they never filled out my planner. They never gave me a list of it. And then in the end, you might get that email going, oh, you missed Aunt George or Uncle Jane or whatever.
And that's really, as an artist, it's not important to us, but it's really is as a business owner. Yeah. And it's very important to the client. We had a very high-end client a few years ago that hired us, and they loved their video. They sent us so much accolades and business our way. And then the sister got married, and for whatever reason, she decided not to use us and went with somebody else. And then we met the family year or so later at another wedding, and the mom and dad came up to us like, oh my God, we love our video. You did such a great job. The person we hired for our other daughter, they did a good job, but you captured the family, the key players, and they did not. And we're so happy that we have that from your
Right,
video.
because we
That's
always
so
make
great.
sure, we get the VIPs in there, grandmas and
Yeah.
grandpas and things like that, because, I mean, it is an heirloom that we're producing for the family. And that's one thing I like to teach on whenever we do like editing classes is we can't forget why we do what we do and who it's for. It's not for our peers. It's not for us. It's for the couple and their family and their
Right.
family to come. So, like we have to make sure that, I don't like to see wedding videos that just have the bride and groom in it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you
we-
see those, like we judged the filmmaking competition for WPPI last year, and we're going to do it again this year. And it's like,
Oh, cool.
all I've seen is the bride and groom. What
And
about?
we've seen some amazing work, but like the whole video is just the bride and groom.
And I think it does a disservice to the family,
family,
for
yeah. It
sure.
does.
So
Yep. I've
have to remember
fallen into
that.
that trap myself too. It's really easy to
Yeah.
do because, well, you're thinking, well, they hired me. I got to get as much footage of them as possible. And you really
Right.
need to step back and go, yeah, they hired you, but it's to document the day, not just their faces,
Right.
Right.
yeah.
definitely.
So we always make sure to like.
One of my favorite. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yes, you did.
I'm good at that.
He gets excited.
Oh
excited.
yeah. I know the feeling. I'm just like that. Totally.
So sometimes like Garrett will do a cut and he thinks he's done, and I'm like, so I'll watch it because he likes to keep it a secret and let me watch it at the end of like a creative edit. And I'm like, oh, you missed the mom or the dad, and he just hates that so much. But we always go back and find clips. You know.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask, are you the final say, Amber, on the
No.
the film? You're not? Oh, really?
No. So Garrett, I mean, I'll add some to it, but Garrett is more highly creative than I am. I do have. I think it has to do with his ADD, and that's why we really
Gotcha.
capitalize on it. But he is the more creative mind, so he does the creative edits, and I'll usually watch him through. But he's the one that is really more hard on himself than he should be, and so. But I always will say, like, if I know somebody's missing or if he missed something that I know, usually I try to make notes because I do like the rough cuts and stuff like that. So I do try to make notes for him, like, make sure you get this and this and this in. But if he misses somebody, I do make sure he gets that in. That's really the only time I give feedback.
I usually run it past my wife because I want the a feminine opinion on it because I find myself throwing all the eye candy shots in, but maybe she's in front of this awesome fountain and the pose is off and her double chin is showing, and I'm not looking at that because I'm looking at all the eye candy and I'm like, oh, I did this awesome like sweep with my gimbal and I definitely needs to be in the film, but yet she's like smacking her lips and wiping lipstick off her teeth, and I just don't pick up on that, so I always run it past her to make sure it looks good. And
that's a really good point, because sometimes I think that Garrett does a pretty good job of looking beyond the eye candy too. Like that's one of the last things that you add to a film anyway. Like when you're editing it, isn't that eye candy is always one of the last things he adds? So he does a really good job
start with
that
the story more. That's
yeah. Start with the story, build that up, and then you go to your key players, your emotional content, and then the eye candy kind of comes last. But
what's the latest Mad Max movie? Was Charlize Theron?
Fury Road.
That was edited all by a lady.
It was the director's
wife. And
Nice.
Was it her first time?
I think so.
I think it was her first time editing, and she edited it from a female perspective, and because it had a female, hero or heroine, and it was amazing. So sometimes
I wouldn't even have noticed or thought that. That's wow. That's not that it would matter anyway, but that's just a great point.
It's a different perspective. Yeah, a different viewpoint.
It's not heard of in Hollywood, really. The amount of women in Hollywood it's kind of sad, So it was I thought it was really empowering to hear that.
And you were involved with something with Sony I wanted to talk about. So that we kind of just led right up to that. That's perfect. Tell me about that a little bit, Amber.
Yeah, so Sony Alpha Female, it is an amazing program that Sony's introduced this year, and it is a creator in residence program for 5 artists, and they get $25,000 grant for the 6-month period, plus $5,000 for gear, and they can rent or they're loaned any gear that they need, and then they get a mentor, one of the artisan women, to help them on their path. And so the program's going on now, and the 5 women photographers are they're powerhouses. They're amazing, but the great part about it is this is going to be a continual program. So they plan on doing it every 6 months. Like every 6 months, there'll be a new batch of creators in residence for the Sony Alpha Female. And that's it's so amazing for a giant tech company like Sony to do something like this. And not only that, they're having networking events throughout the country as well. The first one was just a few weeks ago, or I guess it was last week, but it's definitely something for the female audience to keep your eye on Sony Alpha Universe for the next round of applications. The application process is kind of it's
lengthy.
Intensive.
Yeah.
It's lengthy because they're giving away, like $30,000. Yeah. And so it just is a really, really cool program that I'm super excited for, because as we know, like, especially in the filmmaking community, it's a very male dominated community, and also in different types of photography. So I know like wedding photography is a little more female biased, there's a lot more females, but definitely. Like in commercial or fashion photography, a lot of the photographers are male, so they're just really bringing diversity to the forefront. And it's just a really exciting time, I think, for a huge company like that to put so much effort and energy and cash, behind watching and helping to level out the playing field for women.
How did you guys get linked up with Sony? And I guess I'm a little ignorant. What does the artisan mean? What is that?
Sure. So
I don't really know how I guess we just started using them.
So we started. So we shot. We shot on Canon for 10 years. Our first cameras were the XL2s. I mean, they're giant monsters.
And our B cam were the HV30s.
HV30.
Little tiny camcorders. Yeah.
I had a Canon GL1 when I was way back. I love that camera.
That was a little bit smaller than the XL2, right?
Yeah. A lot smaller. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
It was like a camcorder one. Yeah.
Yeah, the tripods alone that we had to use were ridiculous.
And then when I flew it on a
you had
glide cam.
The glide cam.
Man, you flew one of those?
Yep. And then I bought a vest and the arm because it was so freaking heavy. But then I found out very quickly that I think I'd used the vest and the arm at 2 weddings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous.
Well, you were getting too much attention. It was taking away from the wedding, so we never want to do that. You know, it was taking the attention was they were looking at Garrett and not the bride and groom.
Yeah,
because that's
a good point. That's a good point I wanted to touch on before. I shot an event in Nashville for my company, and I had a bigger 4K camera or whatever, and I was walking around with a DJI. It was like the drone camera. I can't remember Osmo. The Osmo.
Yeah.
Okay,
and where you connect your phone to it or whatever, and I could sneak up on people and they wouldn't know what I was doing. Right. I was getting good shots that way.
Yeah.
And actually people were talking to me about it. Like they're pretty impressed that it was such a small camera and it put out such a good image. But then if I'd walk up to them with a big camera, everybody would just, shy away and get away.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. That big vest would definitely draw attention away from the bride and the groom. And back to, scaling down your kit. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's really what happened was we kind of were at the limits of what we were using the 5D Mark III at the time.
And
we were kind of at
we
were kind of at the limits of what it could do for us. And so we just wanted to change. And then, so we finally, we got the A7S1, the first Sony, like low.
Let me back up just for a second. We were very, we were looking for a new system, and Sony was just one of the ones we were looking at. We looked at. I had a mirrorless camera for photography, a Fuji that I liked. The video wasn't what I needed, but the image was really nice for doing some black and white photography. And then we went to NAB one year to specifically look for switching to it could be Canon, it could be anybody. And we went to the Canon booth and looked at I think they came out the first cinema line was it the C300?
I think so, because your memory card couldn't handle it.
And it was
4K, because we were wanting 4K footage, like 4K.
Yeah, I think the
video.
C300 is the first 4K.
Okay, and I was
And
really
if it's
excited
not,
about it.
it's 4K externally. Yeah, for sure.
Very excited about what they were coming out with until they announced the price. It was like, I think it was like
7, 8
9 or
grand.
12 grand. I don't know. It was crazy.
It's too
And
much
so,
for 2 cameras.
yeah,
We need 2.
Even at a wedding, we usually use like 5 angles.
Yeah.
And I know they're not all going to be, your A cam, but still, even buying 2 of those is ridiculous for us at the time, at least. So we looked at the Canon a little bit, and then we went over to the Red Cinema and looked at them, and
Scarlet.
they just came out with a Scarlet, and I was super.
He wanted a Scarlet bad.
But
I think you'd hate shooting a wedding on a Red, though.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
I've talked to people who have shot weddings with it, and they're like, it's just. Anyways, I read. I'm not trying to dump on you, but I went over to their booth, and they just treated me not in the best way, and so I felt like I don't really want to spend my money with that company.
Definitely, customer service is everything.
We kept looking around exactly, and they just. Well, I digress. Anyway, so I moved on, looked around, went to the Sony, and there was a sense of community with the people at Sony booth that I hadn't felt. Even with shooting with Canon for 10 years, I didn't feel like Canon really appreciated or listened to their their users who aren't shooting in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at Sony and trying to think about I don't know. And then Philip Bloom came out with the video that showed its low light performance on the
S1.
S1.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to try that. That looks really amazing. Because, at that time, we didn't do a lot with lighting for the reception. And we lived in a low light world. So I really wanted to. In fact, we didn't do any lighting for the reception. We just relied on whatever was there back then.
We had the Dito lights back then.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was about 5 years ago. We got the A7S1, and Garrett hands. So we roll up to a bride prep, and it was a pretty high end wedding for us. And Garrett hands me this camera and says, "You're going to use this for bride prep." This brand new camera. I maybe held it for a total of an hour before that, and.
You killed it.
And I killed it. And I shot. It was amazing. And now for the ceremony, I did go back. Yeah. So for the ceremony, of course, I did go back to the 5D Mark III because I was afraid, because those are things you can't redo.
Yes, exactly.
And then, so by the next wedding, Garrett and I were fighting over it, so we bought another S1.
Oh, we also tried the GH4 at the time.
Yeah, we did try the GH4 as well, and we just weren't in love with it. So, we're not.
I mean, you can't beat a full frame sensor,
right?
Exactly.
I do admire the Sony line, and I choose to go with the GH5 over the mainly for the record limits and myself.
Oh, yeah.
I have a fear of missing something during the ceremony.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't even want to say what's happened during my ceremonies.
Oh, you know what? We've made those mistakes too, believe me.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
we have we do have our oh crap camera in the back as a video camera, so we do have a video camera for that. But interestingly enough, you mentioned that the newest Sony camera, the A6400, that was
I was going to bring that up too.
Does not have a record limit.
And apparently,
but it's a crop
I was
sensor,
the one that
right?
broke the story.
Yes, I saw you say that. Yes.
Yeah, it is a crop sensor. That's the APS-C line.
Yep.
So it is a crop sensor, but it makes me really excited about the future.
Yes,
what's gonna happen. But you initially asked us how we got hooked up with Sony. So the following, after we had been using the S1 for 6 months, and then we got the X2. I don't know. We got the S2. We went to WPPI, which is coming up soon. I hope everyone can attend. It's an amazing event, but we went there and we just literally just talked to the guys and the ladies at the booth about, their lenses and things like that. And then they asked for our card, and they got our card, and then we saw them a little bit later that night at a bar, so it's just all about networking.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's how we kind of started our relationship with them. And then this past summer we became artisans, which is it's just like one of those career goals that we never thought would
is so
happen,
cool.
but it's really humbling because we're on the roster with people who shoot for Nat Geo, you
Yeah.
know, and
Pulitzer Prize winners.
Pulitzer Prize winners. Neil Leifer, who shot the famous photo of Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston, you know,
Yes.
like we're in the same group.
I never would have imagined that.
No, so
that
it's-
our little wedding video company in a town of like what? How many? 17,000.
17,000 people
Yeah.
live in this town, you know, like we're
So
on
awesome.
this roster with, you know, so it's the top, I would say, I think it's like
Professionals.
the top 40 professionals, Sony shooters is what the artisan program is. And so
It's very similar to like Canon. What is it?
Explorers of Light
Explorers
or
of
Nikon
Light.
ambassadors,
Yeah.
like Jordan's a Lumix luminary, you know, so it's kind of the elite. I hate to say that too, the elite users
Oh, you can
of
say it.
the
It's fine.
system. No, I feel weird.
You guys have been doing it.
saying
Well, you've
that.
been doing it for so long. You deserve to brag a little bit, you know?
Well, we don't like doing that.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Like when they told us we went to their first
The bealpha,
bealpha
event.
events, which if you ever have one close to you, we've been to 5 now, and we have paid to go to these. These aren't things that Sony sends us to. It's just fun because it's a community of just people. It's basically a photographers or a filmmakers. I'm saying more photography than filming, but you can absolutely shoot video while you're there. But it's Sony sets up this playground of
Yeah.
photography, like multiple sets, models, food, beer, pizza, and just a playground of you to get some really cool shots from. And I've posted a few on my Instagram profile, but they have these throughout the country. The last one was in Chicago last week. Amber and I went to that, and it's just a great
Yeah.
place to meet people, to network, and to get some great images.
Yeah, so,
so cool.
at the inaugural event they had in New York is
Oh,
when
yeah.
they asked us to be artisans.
We didn't
and
see it coming at
We
all.
didn't see it coming. We literally had a wedding the day before. And here's the crazy thing. The wedding the day before was the sister of the bride whose wedding I shot first with my A7S.
This is the first Sony.
The
wedding.
first Sony wedding, the first wedding I ever shot, we shot her sister's wedding, you know, almost 5 years later. And then the next day we flew to New York early in the morning after this, you know, long wedding day, which you know how the wedding hangover is.
Yes.
And we
I think
fly to
we've
New
talked
York.
about that before. Yeah.
Oh man, it's so hard. And we were just emotionally exhausted, but we knew we wanted to be there. And that they asked us, and we both just start crying.
Don't tell them that. We were like ugly crying. Like,
We
oh,
were,
just-
and then our artisan, the artisan director, she started crying. It was just like, and then we had a hug fest. It was fun. It was just,
it was amazing.
And then all of our a lot of our friends who we had already known were, you know, like a lot of our friends who are artisans were there. So that was fun to get to celebrate with them. And then a lot of the people, the Sony employees and stuff like that, they already knew, so they let us go half the day, you know, and they didn't tell us. Like all these people knew. It was
That's
a
so
really fun
awesome.
experience. But
It's
I do wanna
quite an
mention-
honor, but it just shows you that
yeah,
wherever you're at, you know, you don't have to be in LA or New York City or Washington. I don't know. You don't have to be in these huge areas
metropolises.
to be successful. I mean, we have been what I consider to be successful and live a comfortable life, working out of a town that's 17,000. Now we don't shoot a lot in this town. We travel, but
Yep.
this is where it's all started.
It all began here,
and we
at the Moose
operate-
Lodge.
Yeah, at the Moose Lodge
And the Eagles
or
and the Moose
the
Lodge.
church basements.
Church
my
basements, yeah.
my area is very creative too. I feel pretty fortunate to live in this area. There's so many photographers, a lot of not many video people, but it's starting to happen. There's a small filmmaker community in this area that I've tried to become a part of, but you know, family life gets in the way, and I feel really bad because sometimes I don't pick up a camera unless I'm getting paid, you know, so
Right.
I say that all the time.
I'm the opposite. Amber's
You know?
just like you, and then I'm the opposite.
Yeah, no, even at these events, I just go to, because I love meeting and talking to
Yep.
the people in the community. And so one of my friends when we went to Nashville was like, "Where's your camera?" Well, I have this little RX 100 Mark VI that fits in my purse, but I don't
or your
shoot
phone or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely don't shoot video unless I'm getting paid. Or in most of the time, not even, my photos are probably just selfies.
Yeah.
But Garrett, he's setting up these elaborate,
Yes.
Time
Yes,
lapses.
that's so great.
elaborate photos. But that's what he loves to do, and that's how he expresses
I
himself
have
with art
calmed
now.
down my video shooting because I don't
Yeah.
have time to edit what I have.
Yeah,
Yes,
so that's also
the hardest
why.
part. Like shooting a photo and then editing it, it's a little bit less
Yeah.
time consuming. You can be
A
really
little
picky
bit.
about it. Yeah, you could be really picky about it, but
Yeah.
Oh, he is. It took him 3 days to do an image of our friend from his graduation from the law enforcement academy, but it's really cool.
Yes.
So I did want to mention,
Yes.
if you go to alphauniverse.com, you can see, that's Sony's website, you can see the list of where the bealpha events are going to take place, and that's also where you will
Awesome.
find the alpha female application and things like that.
I will
just
include that
finished
in
with
my
one.
show notes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, send me over.
They just
that
had
stuff.
a bealpha event in Hawaii. Which I would
Yeah.
have been to that one.
That would've
Yeah.
been cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, I think they are doing one in New York in association with B&H, so that one will
cool.
probably be really good. That's coming up pretty quick,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure when your podcast will go live, but it's
I
all
will put
on
it up
Alpha
whenever
Universe.
you want me to put it up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Whenever, yeah. So it's alphauniverse.com, and that's where you can find all of the calendar of events and everything like that. And they're adding more and more all the time. So,
And if someone wants to get a hold of you guys, how do they reach you?
well, you can, we have like a form on Eyenamics.com. And then you can just...
We're on Instagram.
Yeah, we're on
Instagram a
Instagram
lot,
and Facebook. Yeah, so we keep our social media very open if you want to follow us there. We answer questions all the time. We're pretty straightforward, and we just keep everything open. We're not...
Right, and you can ask us questions. I may not respond right away because we got a lot of stuff going on, but I do my best to try to respond to people. I'm sure you can put our Instagram profiles and links in the show notes.
Yeah, I love talking to you guys, and I could probably talk to you both the rest of the day if you'd let me. But I've taken up almost an hour or more than an hour of your time, and I really am excited, and I've learned so much by watching your videos and following you on social media and having little interactions with you, and I'm so thankful for you doing this. So is there anything else that you guys wanted to say?
We're going to try to do some more content on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I overproduce those, and it takes me forever, and then so I'm going to try to figure out how to do a different format so it's quicker.
Possibly like hire someone to help us. Because we
hire me. I'm for hire. Great.
Okay, so we have a studio in our garage, which that helped
Awesome.
tremendously because we were, like anytime whenever our first YouTube videos, don't watch the first one, but we would do them in our office. Oh, it was horrible. Like being on camera for the first time is really weird, and so like we would have to clean our office and light it, and it just took. And we were tired before we even got started shooting.
Right.
So now we have a studio in our garage that's basically mostly always set up with lighting and everything.
Wow.
So we can
you
just
both are
walk in
great
there.
on camera. I love it.
Well, thank you.
You're
It's taken
really
a
good.
lot of time to practice.
But I think one thing
sure.
I'm going to try to start doing is do a live video. So whatever I say is
Live
what
stream.
I say.
Yep.
Right,
Yeah.
and then when I'm done, it just automatically goes to YouTube.
Yes.
But I would really like to do some like how I color correct, how I color grade, some editing tricks and tips, and just like do a screen recording with just my face and do it
that'd be
live.
cool.
That way, if I mess up, I mess up, and it's real, it's me, and
But
whatever's out
it's
there is out
forgiving
there.
that way. Yeah, they'll just
Yeah.
go with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's kind of the goal, and then we are going to be at WPPI this coming at the end of this month. If anyone's going to be there, definitely make sure you come up and say hi.
Yeah, we're doing a video walk.
We have a video
sponsored
walk.
by
Cool.
Sony and Stella
And
Pro Lights.
we're giving a class about audio, which everyone can learn about audio.
It's one of those unsexy things that's like not as sexy
not
as some of the other
sexy.
things, but
Yeah, it's not as sexy
it's
as
a
shooting, but
huge deal.
yeah, so we're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
that. And then we just found out today that the filmmaking competition is going to be we're judging everything live on Monday and Tuesday. So, and they have a big room for us this year, which we're really excited about.
Well, in years past, we've prejudged
Yeah.
everything, but like the top 10 or something,
Yeah.
and then those were live. But now
Yeah.
this year, it's going to be 2 days of absolutely every video that is submitted, and you get to hear the critiques and the things, the positive feedback live. So it should be good.
So that should be really good.
Yeah, Josh Thompson was telling me about
Yes.
his experience with that, and I had him on the podcast previously, and he was really impressed with judging everybody, and such a good experience. And I was trying to go to WPPI this year, but it just didn't work out. Maybe next year.
I understand. It's definitely hard. I know, like, you have a full-time job, and do you have children as well?
Yeah, I have 2 kids. Yep.
Yeah.
6
Oh, wow.
and 2.
Yeah. Oh,
geez.
so that's a lot. And I know it's hard to get away sometimes,
yeah.
but definitely, maybe next year for a day or two.
Definitely. Yes.
But yeah, I know Josh is back on the panel of judging, so I'm
Awesome.
excited for that. It'll be an interesting and very long 2 days for us, but I think it's very crucial for growth to see feedback, even if it's not on your own videos, to see other people's videos and hear feedback on those too. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited that WPPI is letting us do them all live.
Cool. That's awesome. Are you guys doing anything with Shutterfest?
I'm not sure yet.
That's what I talked to Josh about. was
TBD.
Shutterfest.
TBD.
Yeah, they had reached out to us, but nothing's nailed down.
Well, I heard something recently, so that's to be determined still. And we're really close, so we might just run over there for a
That's
day.
cool. Yeah.
Because we're only like 2 hours away from there.
It's
So
close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would like to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Anytime.
I would love to do it again, and keep communicating. So
Yeah,
you.
maybe we can do another one and like really get specific about
Our
a
specific-
subject.
yeah.
yes, yeah, I planned on that,
Love
but
it.
we just kind of flowed with it. So
We just ramble.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
sometimes we just kind of go with the flow. But if we're given this is what you have to talk about, then we'll pretty much stick to that.